Hello class, my name is Isaac Kala, and today we'll be doing our final flight scenario presentation. This presentation or this scenario is very unique because I think it's very open-ended. It has a lot of information to consider, and it's a lot different from the ones that I've done in the past. The ones I've done in the past, they usually gave you point A to point B, plan a VFR flight plan or whatnot. This one has like everything that we have to consider. So I really like this scenario that we're going to do. How this is going to work is I'm going to go off and read the scenario over here on the paper. Then I will actually airplay my flight plan that I've built over here in ForeFlight. And then you can see what my thought process is first, because I want to make sure that this flight is legal to take before we even start doing this flight plan and all other things to consider as well. So let's get to it. We are a brand new commercial pilot. It's Thursday morning. The owner of our company approaches, offers to pay us. Here's all the weights of her family, and they want us to take them up to a golf tournament. Currently using the airplane that you are using to train. So first thing that I want to, when I look at this, just make sure that the flight is legal to take. Seems like the owner is going to be providing the aircraft, and we're flying them from A to B. This is private carriage, completely fine, completely legal. Second, plan a trip that's at least 250 nautical miles from your home airport. I will do that right here soon. Utilize the fullest amount of fuel based on total weight. So we do have a lot of weight here going on. I'll explain a little bit after. But basically, I'm not taking the full fuel on top of my 172. That's the airplane I'm taking, by the way, is a 172, because that's what I've been training in. You'll be departing about 1 hour before sunset. This flight that I already calculated is going to be about 3 hours-ish. So second thing, moving on to the next part, is we want to make sure that we are night current, especially when we're taking passengers. A couple limitations to commercial pilots who do not possess an instrument rating is you cannot take passengers at night, can't take passengers in excess of 50 nautical miles. Over here, though, it says that we do have an IFR rating, so we are completely fine. We have about 10 hours in IMC, not that much experience, to be honest, and we are working towards our CF5. Our last flight of passengers was 95 days ago, and we are IFR current, so we can make an instrument flight plan. It says the last flight with passengers was 95 days ago, so I don't know if that means that was the last time we flew, or if we have been flying it within that time. Either or, because this flight's at night and we're taking passengers, we want to make sure that we do 3 takeoff and landings within the preceding 90 calendar days, 1 hour after sunset, 1 hour before sunrise. Knock those night landings out. If we haven't, we have to make sure we do that before we take this flight, otherwise not legal. Second, we have our aircraft, total of 175 hours in the aircraft, fully IFR certified, does not have oxygen or de-icing. That's going to play a factor when it comes to altitude, because I don't want to be flying at 15,000 feet because we don't have oxygen to provide to our passengers, or not even 12,500 feet because I will be needing oxygen as the pilot themselves or myself. No de-icing equipment. Now we know it's the winter months too, so we don't want to be too high in the sky because we have chances of icing up there, especially if the flight, which we're moving into the environment section, is going to probably be in IMC. So we have to be wary about that. We can't be too high, and we'll go through the charts too after. Environment, VFR conditions for first 100 miles, and then slowly turning IFR by the time we get to our destination. Here is the METAR at the time we're going to land. It says 3608 knots, 2 statute miles visibility, 8,000 overcasts, and we have our temperature there. This tells me that I'm going to be flying this flight under an IFR flight plan, and we also need to plan for an alternate airport. So I'm also going to tell you what I did in my flight plan soon. We're going to need an alternate because, if the forecasted hour before, hour after, 2,000 foot ceilings, 3 statute miles of visibility, we're going to have to file for an alternate anyway. It says here that the airport's VFR conditions 30 to 35 miles from our destination. That could be our alternate anyway too. External pressures. Your boss is looking to hire you to fly with our corporate pilots. Honestly, probably a very big opportunity because I can see the external pressure. So we want to make sure that we are doing the best that we can. Try not to get pressured too much by this, especially since we're such a new commercial pilot. We know that opportunities like this don't come along that often, so we want to prove ourselves. It says here about 40 minutes into the flight, the daughter begins to feel airsick. Conditions are light turbulence. With this, make sure you bring puke bags. Make sure that you tell her daughter, or to help her look outside, stare at something off in the distance, focus on that, try to calm their breathing, bring the puke bags. And into this flight, I will say that with the amount of people that I have on board and the amount of fuel that I'm able to take, I am not able to make this full trip in one leg. I will have to make a fuel stop somewhere. So when she starts to get airsick around that point, if she gets airsick around that point, hopefully I'm close to my first fuel stop point before we move on. So let's airplay my iPad on top of here so that way you guys can see my thought process. So first things first, I want to just bring up my weight imbalance. I'm using a Cessna 172 Mike model. I weigh 210. It says over here in the scenario that she weighs 130, her daughter weighs 35 pounds, her husband weighs 165. I'm going to put the husband in the front seat just because I want to be a little bit more front loaded heavy. You know, I don't want to be too aft heavy. As you can see, we are within the weight imbalance profile or within the envelope, so we are fine there. And I put the bags, I split them up. I split the golf clubs in the very back, and then the actual luggages in the back compartment. For this flight, I am not able to take 38 gallons of fuel, and that's going to play an effect for our stop here because I can only take 30 gallons of fuel, which knocks off about a whole hour after my flight. And you'll see how that affects here shortly. So, first flight, I am going actually out from my airport in Denton here. Don't mind the weather here. It's IFR conditions where I'm at right now. Actually, I'm just going to turn it off for now, just that way you guys don't get too distracted. But basically, I'm filing this flight under IFR. We're going to go from Denton all the way, and our final destination for this flight is actually going to be ICT or Kansas. That's about 250 nautical miles. But with that flight from Denton to ICT, I cannot make that fully. I believe I calculated it at 26 gallons for that flight. And then if we have to file for an alternate, that's going to bring it to another 20 minutes later. And then 45 minutes of cruise, which we don't have fuel. We're going to be right there at 30 gallons, and I don't want to chance that. So our first stop is actually going to be halfway through, or maybe about 3/4 of the way through is going to be KPNC. This is going to be Ponca City. Our alternate for this airport is going to be KBKN, which I believe is right off here to our west. We're going to plan our first fuel stop there. Along the way, if she does feel sick, we're going to land there, take a break, and make sure that she's all right. We're going to be flying this flight at 10,000 feet. So right below the oxygen requirements. Also looking over here at our imagery, we have the lowest freezing level in Oklahoma at that time. The lowest freezing level is 11,000 feet, so we are good there. We'll be going to KPNC, doing our first fuel stop there. Take a break. If we have to call the flight off that day, we'll stop right there. It has a motel, it has a good hotel, it has food nearby. That's one of the reasons why I chose this airport first. And if not, if we do have to file for an alternate, we do have this airport here, and it does have an RNAV and a VOR, which my airplane is equipped with WAS, so we are fine on that. Our second leg is going to be from there, KPNC to KICT. That's going to be a final destination for the golf tournament. And that our alternate is actually going to be up here at Hutchinson's, KHET. Has great amenities up there as well. And it also says in the scenario that this airport is going to be VFR conditions 30 to 35 minutes or 35 nautical miles away. So for ICT, has an ILS, it has RNAV, it has all the good stuff. So we're definitely going to be doing another IFR flight plan from KPNC to KICT. That's going to be one of my waypoints. We're going to shoot for the ILS. If it is not suitable for me to land at, we can divert or go straight to our alternate, which is going to be Hutchinson. Both options are, like I said, great for amenities. If anything, it does have also, I believe it also does have an ILS over there too. Approach. It has an ILS. and a localizer, and NDB RNAV has all the good types of approaches there as well. So for that flight, like I said, this is my thought process. I can't take the full flight in one leg, but I will split it up, make a fuel stop. If the daughter is sick along the way, we'll just have her focus outside, bring a puke bag, try to calm her breathing, and then hopefully at that point we can get to our first fuel stop. If we have to call the night there, we'll call the night there for a little bit. I know they are wanting to get to the tournament there quick as possible, but as long as the passengers and everyone is good, I'm good. So yeah, that is my flight scenario. If you guys have any questions, please email me and I'll be glad to answer. Thank you.